Hello, lovely people. Welcome to the Shelf Space Book Club live show for January, where we will be talking about The Unbroken. Oh, I hit myself there. The Unbroken by C.L. Clark. Welcome to the type of vibe that this live show will be.
Woo!
Yeah. Okay. We're talking about this book. This book. So let us know if you've read it. What are your ratings? What did you think? Because we have thoughts. Oh boy, do we have thoughts. Okay. Well, you're on my channel. Hello, my name is Vish from Books with V. I am one of the hosts for Shelf Space, and you can introduce yourself now.
Hey guys, what's up? My name's Christine. I'm one half of the Roomies Digest, and yeah, I'm happy to be here, hanging out with Vish.
For context, we have been reading this book for quite a while now, and we sped through a lot of this book today, both of us, and yeah, we're very tired to say the least.
It's like just funny to me because you literally sprinted, and we were like, yeah, let's buddy read, and now we're here full circle talking about the end.
Yep. It's daylight for you now. It's nighttime for me. Gosh,
The
time.
sun is coming up. I was like, what a full circle moment from like 8 hours ago when I got off work and I was like, hey, let's sprint. Anyway, we're a little cookie crazy today.
I know. We really are. Because I had another live show that I was racing against the clock for. So
The Daughter of Smoke and Bone.
Yeah, I was doing that as well. Yeah. Okay. Also, definitely check out Christine's channel. She's, like she says, one half of the Roomies. Mo is as equal as Christine. She is also the light of my life. Their channel will be linked down below. 4 stars. Interesting.
We'd like to delve deep into that.
Yes. Millie, please tell us why.
Yeah, enlighten us.
Yes, enlighten us. Okay, so what rating did you come to?
Okay, I don't want to be rude, but I did give it a 2 stars.
Same. I gave 2 stars as well.
Woo!
I didn't want
to do so much.
I know.
And for what? You know?
We will talk
Oh
about
man.
in the spoiler section.
Yeah.
Because, oh my god.
The whole first chapter. You know what? Honestly, I feel like if it wasn't for Book Club, I probably would not have finished.
Yeah, 100%. I was curious as to what the ending would be like, but then I was like, you know what? After I finished it, I was like, I don't know why I did it. I don't know why I expected any different.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like the way that the writing goes, it's like there were so many like dangling the fruit in front of you, you know what I mean? Like come and get it, but then there was no payoff. So it makes sense that the end was the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's apparently C.L. Clark's writing style. So.
All right, let's go into our non-spoiler thoughts. So let's. This book is essentially a very political fantasy, and like you said before, the politics are not hard to grasp.
No,
but they were so repetitive because they had to go through these negotiations between 2 different factions, and the negotiation would just go back and forth, kind of the same repetition with nothing going anywhere.
Right.
And that was very hard to read after the halfway point. And it's interesting to say that it's fantasy because where was the magic?
I'm appalled. Why did you do that to us, Orbit? I trust this company. I can't believe Orbit Books did that to me. They said this
I
was
love
fantasy.
Orbit. I love Orbit, but the magic, like, okay, maybe it's not Orbit's fault, but like,
Oh,
but also this is very much a political fantasy, and even though there's not much magic, I would still like it for it to be explained at least.
okay. So I love that you're saying this because, if you go to the end of the book, no
Mm.
spoilers, no
Yeah,
spoilers.
yeah,
But like at the end page, it says the story continues in book 2 of Magic of the Lost. I'm like, so this is the book where everything gets explained via another book. Okay, good to know. So I feel like this book was just like a huge
a
setup
setup.
of like the world and kind of like the politics and things like that. But for me to have it be a well balanced fantasy book, we need all of it. You know what I mean? We can't just have like a huge, how many pages? 500-page book of like, oh, here are these politics, but they keep repeating. And so you as a high fantasy reader or you as a fantasy reader, you probably can't understand. So let me just keep telling you the same thing over and over. Um, so yeah, that like really hindered my enjoyment of this book. I was like, I wouldn't consider myself to be stupid, but I don't know. Tasha Suri has like a little blurb on the back, and I think it actually perfectly sums up like what this book is. It says a perfect military fantasy, brutal, complex, human, and impossible to put down. The impossible to put down, we're gonna ignore that part, okay? Because it was incredibly easy to put this book down. But like a military fantasy, it's like incredibly
Yeah.
human. I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
yes, we should have
It's
listened to you. You know what I mean?
it's very much human in the terms of like the whole theme of this book is colonization and the effects of
Right,
colonization. And
right.
that was excellently done. Like that is hands down, like that was well done. It was just the other little things in between everything that hindered my experience, at least
Yeah.
for the reading. Yeah. Yeah. I see what you mean. But like what other ones I've read that are military fantasy? I mean, you would say Daevabad is pretty political,
Yeah.
right? Because of they have a lot of different factions. They had colonization going around, but the magic was very prevalent. It was very well explained
Right.
throughout
The
the
magic
series.
system, the lore, tied in, the character development, because you've got these
Oh, yeah.
characters that like I think in Daevabad, and I hate to be like this is the end all be all top tier, trilogy, but
It is our bar.
it's the bar, yeah, for me and you, I know. And it's like interesting because you have a main character who doesn't resort to war, like a main
Mhm.
character who doesn't want to fight. And I feel like that's kind of what CL Clark wanted to do with
Yes.
Terrain. Um,
And Luca as well. I mean, her intentions.
and Luca. And it's just because of like this one thing that happens that like messes up the whole entire book in here. And I think it's so interesting that Terrain made that decision because even when
Mhm.
you're looking for the reasons why, like as you're going through the book, there is really
It's just a
no.
one-liner. It was a one-liner
She said it
explanation.
again. She did say it
Yes.
again at the end, and I highlighted it, and because I was looking for like the explanation because she said it again. So I was like, the repetition's there, but where's the juice? Where's the sauce? And we never got it. So I was like, but we'll get into that because I have some things to say. I have some things to
Wow.
say. Ooh,
I get that. Like, I love frustrating characters, but these two were very frustrating in not a good way. Like, not a good way at all.
yeah.
Because their character development was so drastic after that one
Yeah.
event happened,
It's like you guys
right?
are like different characters. Am I
Yeah,
crazy?
exactly. I like Terrain's development because that I felt like was smooth enough, but for Luca, I felt it was very drastic so suddenly
Yeah.
because she was painted as this very headstrong girl and is very much into like her principles. And that principles shifted so quickly, it was very suspicious.
Yeah. And for why, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, I feel like the major thing that C.L. Clarke is trying to do is to say, "Oh, because of this other relationship, that's why she was acting that way." But for me, like, I didn't see that relationship between the 2 characters. I think it's funny that this comment says also, "I don't see a romance like I heard, but the relationship between the 2 POVs rubbed me wrong." Like, that's what I felt. I have heard from other people who've read this book that this is, like, a really good sapphic fantasy. So I was
Yeah.
like, "Okay, we're gonna get a little romance, we're gonna at least have, like, some good interactions, whatever." But, like, a bunch of their relationship just didn't make sense to me, and then in the very end.
There was that one line that Terrain said, which I won't say, maybe might be spoilers, so I don't wanna
Right,
say
yeah,
it.
we'll get to
I
it.
wrote it down, and I'm like, um,
Yeah,
everything that was
the
said before is just, like, thrown out the window.
the whole epilogue didn't make sense. I was like, "I'm sorry, we flip-flopped in, like, 2 paragraphs." I'm not even kidding. It was like she was one way, and then she flip-flopped, and I'm like, "Why?" It just didn't make sense. So I don't know, I feel like we didn't need hand-holding for the politics. I feel like that was so easy to understand and digest because the world wasn't crazy. Like, the world
Yeah,
was
because
easy.
it
You're
took
in a
place
desert
in
world.
one city. Yeah, it took
Yeah,
place in one city. It was only between these 2
right? Like,
countries.
groups of people,
Yeah, yeah.
and there's, like, one other place that, like, they could have
Well,
gone to.
yeah, the other 2, the bear people
Right, right,
and
right.
but it wasn't delved into. They were
Right.
just a guest appearance, and that
So,
was
like,
it.
we didn't really need to remember that because we never went there.
Yeah.
So, I'm just like, "Okay, so if we don't need to be handheld during that, like, maybe you could go into detail on the magic system or
Mhm.
really put some, like, development in the characters or, like, the relationships," because the plot was not, like, super crazy,
Yeah.
if that makes.
I just liked the beginning because I thought it was going to be different, and I remember us both saying this, that, "Look, we know this type of story, we know how it's gonna end," and it did, and I'm
I
kinda
hate that
I
phrase.
yeah, I know it's really bad to say this, but, like, I wish it was different. I wish it wasn't very, like, typical in the way it went.
Well, because it had so much opportunity.
Mhm.
And I think that's the biggest reason why it was such a disappointment because we're like, "Oh," like, as we're reading it together, you and I are like, "This part's really cool, I'd love to see this," or like, "This part's really cool, I'd love to see that." But then,
Yeah.
like, obviously in the overall, like, thoughts or whatever, we don't get any of that. So I
Mhm.
think just gonna be, like, being led throughout the book with just the main theme of, like, politics, it's like
Mhm.
it goes back to kinda what we were saying, it's not like a well-rounded fantasy book,
Yeah.
so
Like, I love political fantasy, like, I love it, right? But you
yeah,
can't just tease us with very unique magic in between the book and not explain it, especially the ending.
there
When
was
that happened,
so
and there was
yeah,
nothing.
so many of that, so many of
No
that.
one acknowledged it. It was just like, "Oh, yeah, cool." Like, "What? What
I
happened?"
know, and also I'm like, "Wait a minute, how did that happen?" You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
it was just a
Okay,
lot of that. I was like, "Hold on, the stuff we need explanation for, we're not
we get
getting," so it just makes you frustrated in, like, a not good way,
Mhm.
but yeah.
Like, I guess the way it was marketed as well, because I know this was, like, the Sapphic part of the Sapphic trio. Now I'm worried
Yeah.
for, She Who Became the Sun and Jasmine Throne. I'm worried for those 2 now.
I am not gonna lie to you guys. I have not heard good things about any of those other 2 books.
I'm definitely reading Jasmine Throne just because it's Southeast Asian fantasy,
Yeah.
and being me, I wanna read it. So I'm going to, but I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it. I want to love it. We'll see.
We should buddy read that actually because I just got it from the library. It's on my TBR for this month if you wanna read it soon, like in the
I
next month.
told you, kind of. We'll see, because I told you I wanna read Poppy War, and that's like a
Yeah.
very hard maybe because of all that
Perfect
fem
example of a political fantasy, hello, the Poppy
with
War.
magic that
Right.
wasn't really explained, but at least it was
Yeah, it
explained more
eventually
than
got
this.
there,
Yeah,
right?
and more than this at least.
Yeah, that's definitely a book where you don't have a lot of hand-holding. Like, you
Mm,
are thrust into it and you're like, "Okay, here's the conflict, here's what's happening," but there's nice character development and you, like, lead up to the end, you know what I mean?
yeah.
So, man, I can't believe I forgot about that. I really just blocked that out, huh?
It did have very good character development, especially with the main character, and it had a lot of war politics, the same as this. And
Yes.
that one also had a lot of colonization topics as well.
Yes.
But
Yes.
with the magic, it wasn't as bad as this. It was explained, but I know it will be explained throughout this series because I've
Right.
heard the friends, but we don't know because this is the first book. The
Mhm.
second book I think has already been written and she's writing the third one, but we don't I think she might release it this year, but I'm not sure.
I cannot promise that I'll continue.
Yeah, like I'm curious as to the magic system, but like I'm gonna wait and until Angela from Literature Science wins because she really likes this book. I'm gonna wait for her to read it and see her review, and then I'll read it.
Wait, but if she really likes this book, then you know what I mean? What if she really likes the second one, but it's not good
Well,
to
I'll
you?
ask her specific things so I
Oh, to
know.
see what it is.
And
Okay,
I
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically about the magic and like the politics. It's still gonna be like the way this ended. I can see the repetition happening again, but just
Yeah,
in like two different places.
even her, like, dangling the very last line of this book, I'm like, "You can't even give us what's in the thing," you know what I mean? Like, you can't even
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah. I'm
yeah,
more nervous with Jasmine Throne because I want to really like it,
yeah.
but we'll see. I don't really have high expectations for both of them, but like I want to love Jasmine Throne.
I've heard more bad things about She Who Became the Sun, um,
Okay.
and
I
I,
know
like
it's very much historical than fantasy.
yeah, and yeah, I guess not bad, but, like, people it wasn't what people wanted from a fantasy
Mhm.
book, and I think a lot of the hype around it, like, you guys gotta be careful when people are coming out with books and stuff, and, like, booktubers are like, "I haven't read this yet, but here's the promo for it," you know what I mean? Like, just recognize those posts on Instagram and stuff, but
Mhm.
that's kinda what I saw a lot when it was coming out, like,
Yeah.
a bunch of people who were like, "I'm about to read it, but here's this new book," and so I was like,
Mhm.
"Alright, well, where are the actual reviews?" So once those started coming in, I wasn't seeing a lot of, like, you
Yeah,
know
there was a lot of mixed reviews.
yeah, so that's why I'm not, like, in a rush to read that one. I'm like,
Yeah, I have both of them because,
Well, it's a
um,
beautiful like, if I'm doing a cover buy, I'm buying
yeah,
both of them immediately.
the
Also,
only
the
reason
second
why I
book from
bought it
Jasmine
is
Brown
because it was on sale, and
oh, really?
hardcovers are never $20 here, they were only 30 or 40, and I got it for 20. So I was like,
Yeah,
"Sale, I'm down for that." So,
might as well.
yeah. Yeah. I heard
Historic
that a lot. It's more historical than fantasy.
Ooh,
I
yeah.
thought War was, more historical than fantasy, but obviously it still had that fantasy aspect.
Yeah. I think it does a good mix. It's on the historical side, like, of all the fantasy books I've ever read, it is definitely more historical,
Yeah.
but it's not, like, boring
No.
by any means,
Yeah.
you know? So
Like, yeah. Like, literally overall with the non-spoiler, like, it's just the little things for us with the pacing, with the characters, with the repetition of the politics and the teasing of the magic system that was not explained. Those were the things that really affected us. But overall, the theme of the book was really, really well done. Like I said, with the colonization and everything, that was really well done. If you do like that type of books, like with colonization or whatever, I would definitely recommend Rage of Dragons by Evan Winters. He did very well on that as well. But I gave it 3 stars. But you'll enjoy it.
I was gonna say, if anybody has read Black Sun,
Okay.
really good fantasy book. Yeah, it's got colonization, really unique magic system. Um, and yeah, it's really good. I'm sure you guys have heard of it. Anyway,
I really want to read that. Okay. Any last minute non-spoiler thoughts? Because I think most of our thoughts is spoiler.
Yeah, like stuff that we just want to rant about and be like, what
Yeah.
the
I have like a list of questions that were not answered in the
I
book.
should have done that. I should have done that actually.
Oh, speak of the devil.
Oh, hello.
Hello, Angela. Angela, we were just saying that I'm sorry, Angela, but we gave them 2 stars. We gave the book 2 stars. We're really sorry. We're really sorry. But we do want you to read the second book, and then we'll ask you questions about the second book to see if we want to continue.
Yes.
Because yeah.
Yeah, it also was one of my favorites too. Definitely in adult fantasy books, just for, reference. But yeah, Black Sun is so good. You'll probably really like it, Vish. Just so you know.
Yeah. I really want to dive into Rebecca Roanhorse's books.
I know, and it's just like the fact also that she writes for Marvel and like does like the comics and stuff for them. I'm like, obviously she knows what she's doing. So, but she also has like really good middle grade books as well. So,
also the amount of words that were on something in this book was a lot. I just noticed it.
Yeah, I noticed that too. But it is what it is.
Thanks, Angela. We love you, and we're sorry.
It's like we're not bashing you personally.
Of course not. All right, we'll go for spoiler chat. So if you want to be spoiled, stay tuned. If you don't want to be spoiled, then now's the time to skedaddle. Okay. First of all,
let me tie my hair back really quick. Let me just whoop. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. The romance. At the end, she was like, what did she say?
Let me get my file. I'm ready. I'm on the last page. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, because she was like, oh, I don't know if we were even in love, but I wanted to like die for her or save her or something like that. I'm like, what?
For why?
Why?
If you don't know, if you do not know if you're in love with somebody, I'm a guarantee you should not die for them. Never. No, don't do it. Okay. What's up with that? I cannot even with the whole romance. First of all, the love triangle. I'm like, what's happening?
Oh, yeah. First of all, that one part of the triangle didn't even exist for half of the book.
Yeah. And then it comes up at the end. So like the love triangle is between Pruitt. It's not even a triangle, excuse me. No. Terrain doesn't know if she wants to be with Pruitt or if she wants to be with Luca, right? And so she's with Pruitt, and it seems like she just is with whoever is convenient at the time. But she's with Pruitt in the beginning, and then she gets scooped up by Luca, starts having feelings for Luca. Then at the end, she's with Pruitt again, and she's like, "Oh man, I kind of still like you, even though you betrayed me and like whatever." But then she flip-flops again and goes back to Luca.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. The idea of somebody like you. Luca did stand for something at one point, and then she just flip-flopped when Terrain. Was it when Terrain betrayed her or after that?
Yeah, it was immediate. It was like that whole part was so messy. Like Terrain going to Cantic and telling her the whole entire plan.
For family, to save her family. This is like Fast and Furious, where it was like, mi familia.
Yeah. I'm like, what family? Because like so far, all of your decisions have killed everyone that's close to you. And like, and not only like that, but like estranged others. So like even the relationship she could have had with the jackal, like any of that, just like estranged it, right? And then, but she's like a child. She's still saying, but it was for my family. And I'm like, sweetie, your family's dead. Your family is gone. Like,
I actually wrote something down about like the whole kid thing. So both of them were acting so childish and making decisions, right? But then, you know how every time Terrain gets in trouble, so I was like, I feel like Terrain is that rich kid who keeps getting in trouble and her daddy keeps bailing her out so he can get into more trouble again. That's literally
what Luca is. She's the show one.
Exactly.
She like comes in and she's like, "Don't worry about it. I can pardon you. Just tell me what you did, sweetie." I'm like, must be nice. Must be nice to have money and be the queen of the world.
And she was like, "I will help your family in time."
I'm like,
But
what
like,
family?
when? If you can do this for one person, I'm sure you can do it for the rest. Like, if
Right.
you already put your leg on, like, next to the door, like, you can just go through it.
Yes. That was so silly, y'all. That was so silly. Oh man.
Yes, I appreciated that, right? I get it. I really liked Terrain's um character development. The way she flip-flopped between, she didn't know, she was very brainwashed, and she didn't know who to side with, and also she kept following orders instead of listening to herself and where she wanted to go. And I liked that progression in the end where she chooses the rebels, and she does it because she thinks it's right, not somebody else told her to. And I like that. But with Luca, I don't know, that switch, like, very sudden, where she was like, what would a queen do? All of a sudden, and then she made such rash decisions for her throne. But then she keeps flip flopping between her power and Terrain and helping the rebels and everything. It was so flip floppy, like, very quickly, that I just didn't find it believable.
Yeah,
Almost.
and I honestly thought this was a villain origin story. I was like, okay, Luca is about to be the bad guy. You know what
And
I
you know
mean?
what? I would prefer that.
I would have loved that. I'd have been like, yes, Luca. Yes. We love to see it because you have reason to be angry, right? You were
Mm.
literally about to create peace between these two people. You were about to come into power. And then this, like, I mean, from her perspective, this nobody sand comes in and tattletales to your general, and then it messes everything up. So, like, yeah, we want to get revenge on her, but no, she's got like some kind of like place in her heart for Terrain. Not this thing on my face. Got like this like thing in her heart for
Like,
Terrain, but like I didn't see that relationship, so it didn't make sense to me that she would drop everything she's ever worked for, because that's all she kept saying in the book was that she wanted power. She wanted her throne for her daddy, you know what I mean? Like for her family. She wanted to get magic back, to like restore the great quality of the kingdom and things like that. And then all of a sudden she's like, well, I let this girl sleep in my bed one time, and now I'm in love, so I don't want to be queen.
yeah, I don't know. Like, she had the potential because she had so much anger and authority, but she didn't quite believe in herself just yet
Yeah.
because of, I don't know if it's her disability or for her insecurities.
I mean, I think it's like a combination of both. Like the reason she's insecure is because she broke her legs and now lives with a limp, right? And uses a cane. And her whole life she's been told that she's not strong enough.
Yeah.
And like that is what it is. So she's had to prove herself. And that's why she goes and she like learns how to fight with her blade and like, you know what I mean, things like that. So I think she's just her whole like mindset is I have to prove myself because I'm already not good enough. And I think those two things just go hand in hand because that's
Mm,
like her perspective of herself. When really, I mean, she could have pulled some moves. She could have
yeah.
pulled some political moves. That would have been crazy, but
Also, another thing at the end when she was with, oh my god, what was her name? Aranan, when
Mhm.
Aranan was doing her magic stuff and she touched Luca, and Luca had like that power go in her and then it came out, like, but nothing happened.
Right.
But in my head, I was like, did she just get healed for her legs? But she didn't say anything about it. Nothing was said about it. She was still using a cane. But I'm
Right.
thinking, like, what is she healed? But she's faking it.
Or maybe she just like doesn't know yet.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what I mean? I don't know. That part was interesting too because obviously they're going around killing people. They're like touching faces and they're basically like soul sucking them, right? Or like, taking their life force. and I thought that's what was gonna happen. I thought Luca was literally KO at that point.
Mhm.
Silly me. But I don't know. I expected something to come from that, like either a transfer of magic or her to be healed or something like that. But also, I thought that if she had gotten healed in that moment, that would have really like cheapened her whole
Disability.
character. Yeah, and it's just like I like did not want to see that. You know what I mean?
That's
Like I
right.
wanted her to just be strong in who she is, like for
Yeah.
herself.
In the beginning, like she was.
Yeah, and so that whole part I was just kind of like, why?
Oh, she's right.
Hello, Miss Rachel.
Rachel, I don't know if you're gonna like this. I hope you do.
Oh no, no. I mean, I'm no wait, sorry. I've had like 6 hours of sleep. Rachel, I'm not recommending this book. That's my final say.
Fulfill like quotes. I love that she's not good or bad. She's just so serving, struggling with not getting her cake and eating it too. 100%. I get that. I don't know. Like all of these comments are like fair enough, right? But while we were reading it, we were just so frustrated.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough, you know?
If it was spread out throughout the book, sure, right? But this was very immediate reactions. Like every couple of pages, she changes and flip flops, or every couple of paragraphs, suddenly she's like, "Oh my god, I don't really want to do this. Oh my god, I need to be strong and do this." So I don't know. For us, it was very frustrating. But like all of these comments, like you were saying about how, like with Luca and stuff like that, I totally get it. Like I get it, but I don't know why.
Right. I
Just,
mean, I think like for me, like I just don't want to read a fantasy where it's like real life, like at all. So, you know what I mean? Like I don't
yeah,
want to like
yeah,
see the politics go flip-floppy. Like I want to have like characters that have like good development and like are strong in themselves. And if they do flip-flop, like 1 or 2 times is good enough, you
mhm,
know. But if we're doing it the whole entire book and nothing else is being served in the plot,
yeah.
um, then it's just like a little boring, to be honest.
I think I was saying this as well, where I was saying like the negotiations and the politics,
Mhm.
could it be reflecting like real life politics and how slow it is and how back and forth it is all the
Mhm.
time until we eventually go to war and like the tension builds up to like a spark happens and then war happens, which
Right.
is what happened in here. But I just didn't love that constant back and forth, even though it's kind of realistic in a sense.
Right, exactly. It's like I mean, I recognize that that's how it is in real life, but I don't know if I wanna read a 500-page book about, like, that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I
Even
would
like
love
the
to have it
same thing.
interspersed with, like, lore and, like, the magic system and, like, the characters and, stuff that we've said, so, anyway. I
Yeah,
like I like steady development for
that's
characters.
really development. For
Yeah.
characters, for us, we're a hot mess. It was at one point. Like I liked the way it started, and I was so hoping in the middle it would
Mhm.
shift directions into something else that we were like, okay, maybe they'll go to the cursed city, or maybe the magic will be more explained, and other people from other tribes or whatever would come in, and things would happen with the rebellion. But no,
Yeah,
it
I
just
think
kept going.
ultimately it's, like, the reason why people give books lower star ratings is because their expectations are high, and I think for us, we were like, "Man, it's about to be so good." And so since it wasn't, like, everything we wanted it to be, obviously the rating is down, so, I mean, that's more on, like, us.
That's fair. Okay, I'll say the first half of the book, Angela, I was not bored at all. Like I was like, I need to read this and I want to know the politics and what was going on. But
Yeah,
once I caught on that the politics was not really going anywhere and it's the same, I was like, okay, I need this to move
right,
somewhere else because of the teasing of the other things in the world that I was more
mhm.
interested in.
Well,
That's
and I
why.
think from that flip, like, from the altercation where, Terrain's like, "I did something bad, ooh," like, I think from that moment, we're like, "Oh, it's about to speed up, and we're about to, like, really get rolling and da 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 da," and then, like, the same pacing
Yeah.
happens, and you're just kind of like, okay.
And it's more like Terrain getting hurt and then coming back again and then getting hurt and then coming back again and then having like a mini pandemic happen in the
Yeah.
book.
I was like, wait, what's happening right now? COVID's happening right now.
Yeah.
I don't
But then I
know.
remember there was when Luca went to visit Sebastian or
Mhm.
Bastian, whatever, and they read that if someone gets a lower type of disease, it will kind of counteract the fatal disease or something like that. And I
Right.
remember them reading it, and then when this happened, I was like, "Oh, so the people who already got the laughing pox won't get the death pox." I think that was what's said. But then the soldiers and other people were dying.
Yeah, she said like a third of her army or something. Cantic said, or maybe like a fourth of her army had
Mhm.
died, and the other ones were on their way to death. And I was
Yeah.
like, it's crazy how you really said that the reason why you did this was because of your family, the Sands, the
Yeah.
conscripts, and yet half the conscripts are literally dead now. So,
And this was before her friend Amy was hung in the gallows.
yes.
No, this was before because she got hung. Terrain went to the Luca's house, then got sick, and
Right.
then left.
And then Amy, yeah. And that's a whole crazy thing too. Like I hate this for Terrain because she's trying to save the Sands and like her like,
Mm.
company and stuff.
But she allowed this to happen.
She allowed like a lot of people died for her and for why. Like
Mhm.
I think the one character that I was like, "Yes, you were acting appropriately," was Pruitt. Like she was like I was like with her. I'm like, "Pruitt, me and you are buddies because if
Yeah.
I was in the situation and Terrain had acted like a fool and not only had like our best friend died, but our best friend's lover died, our other best friend died, and then like, like so many of the other Sands had died, plus half of the members that I knew from childhood because this
Mhm.
one girl like tattletale essentially. I probably would have killed her. I'm not kidding. I would have been like, "Are you serious? You really wanna fight?" There would have been an altercation or something because I'm like, "What's the point?" Like, what is the point in saving Terrain? You know what I mean? Even with all the other members, like, I know that she's the Jackal's daughter, and,
Mhm.
like, the Jackal comes out later and it's like, "I've always loved you," or, like, whatever. Um, but, like, none of that had any weight for me. I'm
Yeah.
like, "This isn't how people would be," especially since Terrain, like, really doesn't have like, what is it about her that makes you not wanna, like, beat the crap out of her?
Yeah.
I mean, like, what is it?
I don't know. Like even with her relationship with the jackal, right?
Yeah.
The jackal didn't really talk about uh Terrain being taken.
Yeah, because Terrain has that whole moment where she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I wish my mom would say, 'I wanted you to stay, like, when they took you, I loved you more than anything, da 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 da.'" But she never does that. That was like a fever dream or something, and she, like,
The
never
jackal was
brings it up.
pure hatred for her.
Right, and
Except for yeah, except for the end when she took her to look at that big giant stone.
right. And you're like, "This is a monument because I was taken?" Or what? So I don't know. Even oh my god, what is her name? Aranan? Aran?
Ironic.
Yeah. Even like that whole thing. Like the love of her life died.
Oh, those 2 are my favorite characters, I'll say. Ronan and Joshua, they're my favorite characters. Their love was the one I was looking for. They're the sapphic romance that we've been looking
I know, I
for.
was like, is that really
That's the
what
romance.
yeah, like is that was what it was. Because it wasn't terrain.
Yeah. I also wish we had other perspectives as well, other than just Luca and
Yeah,
Terrain.
yeah.
I think that would be good.
I don't know. Luca's POV was kind of boring to me, but that's because it was just repetitive and
Yeah, with her feelings and the flip-floppiness, and also with Terrain as well in the beginning where she was just flip-flopping and like, she
yeah,
wanted to please everyone. Like, I get that. Like, in the beginning, I got that, but it continued. I was like, "Terrain, make a decision. For God's sakes. You made so many mistakes. You didn't even learn from them. You just kept going.
I know, that's what kills me. I'm like, okay, we can't even learn. There's no character development. She's the same person she was in the beginning. Anyway.
Is this because we're Virgos?
Yeah, I'm like, please make a list, check it twice, and get the job done, my friend.
Just make a decision, please.
If one of your friends dies, don't you think you would do anything to save the rest of them? I don't know. I was acting crazy. I was like, okay, if one of my friends gets murdered, I'm gonna make sure none of the other ones get murdered. Like, she was doing the least, you know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't handle it. Oh, anyway. And like, but that was her whole like thing. Like, her whole reason for living was for the sands. But I'm like, you're not saving anyone. Everyone's dying. And then she has magic in the end.
Yeah, which was okay. Wait, let's look at my questions, shall we?
Yeah,
That was
like,
not
so
answered. Blah blah blah. Repetitive things. Okay. Terrain and Aaron used magic, but how? We don't know. It was never explained. Their eyes magically turned yellow or orange, and they were like, "Oh, look, your eyes changed." And that was it. No explanation.
I mean, what I can gather from the text and like what I highlighted was that they use like fresh meat and they have a belief in their god. You know what god? I can't tell you. I have no idea. But that's what apparently happens. Now, when they're about to be murdered and they suddenly start like kicking ass,
Yeah.
I have no idea.
What happened? Did you eat meat? How can you eat meat when you're bleeding on the ground? I don't
Well, I
know.
mean, I guess like the sacrifice here is like Rogan for Terrain, right? And then oh my gosh, I'm like blanking on her name. The apostrophe.
Yeah. Joshua.
For her wife. Yeah, exactly. So like that's I like get that. But like how did Terrain suddenly know how to do it? You know what I mean?
How did she make his head explode?
Right, like a faith in what God. No one sat her down and said, "You've got to have a faith in this particular, you know, like whatever, Sobek from David Bad." You know what I mean? Like a particular faith in this God, and like this is how you do it. That was not good for me. That was not.
The other colony, they had a bear god that they prayed to.
Yeah.
And the desert people as well, they prayed to the bear god. They didn't say. They just said they shared a god. So I'm guessing.
They said the many-legged beasts, which apparently means like any animal.
Yeah.
Right? They have like animal familiars, which
that
makes
lion remind me of Mishmish from David Bad.
Like Mishmish, it reminds me of the Golden Compass, where we've got these like familiars up in here, you know, not really their soul, but you know, magic. And I don't know, it was messy.
Well, speaking of lion, what happened to the lion lady? We don't know what happened to her.
Went back to the east.
With her lion.
With her lion. I was like, this description of this person, I think their pronouns are they, them. But this description of them, it was so elaborate and so like beautiful. I was like, yes, we're about to have somebody come in and like teach them some magic and like do some stuff.
He just cooked dinner and that was it.
They cooked dinner. They walked around town.
Delicious, by the way. Sounded delicious. It all sounded delicious.
I mean, yeah. That was the stuff I was underlined. I was like, yes, give me a dish with a red bean paste. Yes, my friends. But like, I don't know. They just took a nice stroll around town and then they disappeared. Don't know where they went. She kind of gave off Chosen One vibes. Yeah. It's like, that's what the book wanted to be, but it wasn't. It wasn't. Rachel, you can add this to the reading vlog that you're going to do for my most hated books. Not hated. I didn't hate it, but
disappointed.
Like yeah.
Okay. What made the cursed city cursed? What is the cursed city? Will we ever explore it?
That's coming in book 2, the book about all the magic. I think book
Okay.
2 is really where we should have started.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, but, you know,
Mm.
it is what it is.
Who created the damn posters? We still don't know. Of the art on the side of the buildings.
You know, I wanna say that that was the Beau what's his name?
Yeah, the French person.
Sebastian's dad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I wanna say it was him because, you know, he essentially, like, captured all
The hostages and stuff like that.
yeah, all the hostages and, like, held them hostage, and I don't know I don't know if I've just read a lot of fantasy, but I was like, "Did we not see that a mile away, that he was, like,
Yeah.
treacherous?" You know? Like, that he made all these moves so that he would become the general, like, I don't know,
Yeah.
I just was suspicious. It's like the first governor was killed,
Mhm.
right? And, like,
Yeah.
there was no investigation. No one said, "This is
Yeah, that
sketchy."
was already so weird. They didn't even
Yeah,
do an investigation.
glanced right over that. I was like, "If I'm the queen and one of my governors just got murdered, I think I'd probably at least try and figure out who did it." And if there are, like, rats in, you know, in the company or, like, whatever, and I don't know. That just, like, was weird to me because Luca's trying to be the queen, and I'm
Mhm.
like, "Sister, what if somebody, like, murders one of your trusted advisors? You're just gonna let them do that?" And then, like, you know what I mean? Like, I thought that was gonna be a learning lesson, like a teaching moment,
Mhm.
and then, like, it just got glanced over, which brings me into the whole, like, killing people for, like, what reason in this book. I felt like there was a lot of, character deaths that
Yeah.
I particularly didn't feel much for. Like, even the ones that I knew we were supposed to care for, like
Yeah.
Cho,
I think I felt most for Thibaut, to be honest, because he
it
didn't
was
deserve that.
he didn't deserve it, but it was so quick. I was like,
Yeah,
"Wait a minute,
he
this
just
man was murdered?"
got so
You know what I
fast.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
what?
And he wasn't like the other 2 who got hanged at the end. Like, that
Yeah,
I understood because, like, they wanted to show an example, but
right.
he died in battle.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like and then we're not like, we talk about it for 1 second because Pruitt, my tried and true character, Pruitt, she comes in and she's mad and she's like
Yeah,
she's
good.
acting exactly how normal people would react. She's like, "You're not even fazed that your best friend was murdered. You're over here saying you save the sands, and what have you done?" Like, I was like, "Pruitt, you go, Glen Coco, you go. Tell them who you are." Anyway,
No, you're right. And
it
then
was
at the end as well, when Terrain was thinking of going back to Luca, and Prue was like, "Just say goodbye next time," and then
girl.
whatever.
I love that part so much. I highlighted it. I said, "Pruitt, you deserve better. You
Mhm.
deserve better. So you walk away from this person because she does not deserve you." That also was annoying to me because, like, they're back together basically, Terrain
Mm,
and Pruitt at the end, and
yeah.
then Terrain gets a letter from Luca, and she's having
Mhm.
a moment, she's like, "Oh my god, I don't wanna read this in front of my other lover, so maybe I won't," you know? And that, of course, like, ends the book with, "And then she opened the letter from Luca."
Mhm.
The end.
Also, with the whole pandemic thing, like, we know that it just doesn't stop,
Oh
but
my
here
god, yeah,
it just
yeah.
did, it stopped.
Well, I think it I don't know, I think it was a plot point that served the plot for 2 seconds and then it gets forgotten. It's like when the governor dies, like, it's a
Mhm,
plot point, gets served for 2 seconds, you know what's supposed to happen, but,
mhm,
like, it doesn't mean anything ultimately. It's like when Thibaut died, like, you know that that's supposed to be a turning point for Pruitt, but, like, you know what I mean? It doesn't really, like, affect I mean,
mhm.
for me, I wasn't, like, crying over it, so I think that was another plot point that just kinda was like, "Yeah, we'll throw this in there because it's, like, a cool, quirky thing."
Yeah.
But, like, ultimately, no. What about the phrase, "We pray for rain"?
I get it at the end where it's meant for liberation because like
Mhm.
you said before with the desert and then, rain is rare and when it does, it's kinda liberating, so I guess it's just a sense for liberation, which I liked. That was good.
Yeah, I was gonna
But also
say, I we see that phrase, like, so much, like, pray for rain, like we pray for rain. And like we said that to each other. We were like, what is this? Is this the new slogan of like the book? Like what? But she does end up saying like one of the last times that they say it, right, I think at that last altercation, she's like talking to the jackal.
Yeah, and she was like, be the rain.
Yeah, and she's like, be the rain. And then it's explained later, she's like, that was the new slogan of the rebellion. And I'm like, that would have been nice to say before we said it 15 times.
Mm-hmm.
But
also her name is Terrain. Rain.
I'm glad you said it. I'm glad you said it. Because we were going there. I was like, do you ever like think about things like that? You're like, did you come up with the name first, or did you do that slogan 15 times and then come up with the character name?
I forgot what her real name was, because I know the old man said it before he died.
The real name was amazing. Hannon, I think, wasn't it? Or Hanan? Did I make that up?
Something like that.
I think it was an H of some sort. That's the one thing I didn't write down. LOL. Anyway, her first name was Joe.
Bear with us, folks.
Her first name was Hanan? No. Oh, yeah. H-A-N-N.
Wow. And no one called her after that. No one called that name after that. Not even her mother.
Another plot point that was just there to be there. I don't know. It's like, I don't want to bash on Akhtar, but it's kind of like Feyre. You know? You're like, oh, Feyre.
What's happening here? What?
Is it because there are Fae in the book? I think about that a lot with character names, because like for me, like personally, names are really important. Like they mean a lot to me. So like when I meet somebody for the first time, I like always like think about their name, and I'm like, okay, you know what I mean? And so especially in books, I'm like, okay, characters that you can make up, they can be literally anybody you want them to be. So like their names are important. And so when it's like Terrain, and I'm seeing this phrase, pray for rain, pray for rain, pray for rain.
Just a side note, my full name actually means excellence of the universe, so do with that what you will. My parents were just like, here's the expectations we want for you. And I just obliterated them.
That's way cooler than my name. My name just means Christian.
Oh.
How does it feel to be named religion? Anyway, but yeah, that was another thing. Like that's just like a personal thing for me, because I like names, and so I noticed that. So I'm glad we got to talk about it, because I was like, the slow
with Daughter of Smoke and Bone, like her name is Carew, which is that's really cool.
I know I was gonna talk about Daughter of Smoke and Bone earlier, but I was like, I'll just get on the live show. Like I'll just watch it and see what you said. Anyway. But yeah.
That's sick.
See, there's some real cool names out there, and then, you know, not to bash on other Christines, but here we are.
Your name is beautiful.
Christine. Yeah, I was like, I feel like whenever people meet me, they're like, Christine, that's your name? You look like an Ashley.
No.
I've gotten that so many times. I'm like, is it because I'm white? Or anyway.
What would your name be?
I have no idea. I don't know. I've thought about that a lot too. I'm like, if I wasn't Christine, who would I be?
Grace?
It's this Grace would be the same thing as Christian, wouldn't it?
Oh, whoops.
Anyway, off topic. Mel is the dark. Oh yes. I don't know what oh my god really is for, but
did I have any other questions?
I was about to say, I feel like we've covered a lot here.
Oh, I said, why didn't we travel to the cursed city, other than the crocodile said no by biting off her leg?
Okay, yes. That was something that I also was wondering about.
Also, wasn't Terrain going there? Remember, she was like, she had a backpack in the water and everything, and she was going. And then she saw the kids, and the kids wanted her water and stuff. And she's like, you know what? Never mind.
Detour, yeah, I did see that.
I
I
remember
did
that.
see that. And in that moment, she decided to go back to the rebellion.
Yeah.
So
So close going to that city. So close.
I guess there must just be something really crazy. I mean, obviously the crocodiles are protecting it or something. Like the people who live there. That was interesting too. There's like this whole group of people that aren't even accounted for. That Luca literally is like, "Oh, these people that protect this, they're not, they're not our people and they're not like technically, I don't know." Anyway, I was like, "Who are these people? The crocodiles?"
Yeah. Do they also control animals? Like,
Yeah. Like who are they? I don't
yeah.
know. That was interesting. Oh, I will say one of the things that I really liked, like just kind of a little world building
Hmm.
thing that I really liked was the grief rings that
Oh,
people
I do. I did like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that because I think that that's such a I like personally like to wear rings as well. Like it's just like a thing. They mean stuff, you know? And so I thought it was so interesting that she had these like black onyx rings
Mm,
for her mom and dad, and like other people would wear them too. Like Cantix got one for her family.
mhm,
Um, and I think somebody else has one too. But I was just like, that was like so interesting to me. I loved that part about the world. I was like,
mm.
oh, you can like tell that people are dealing with grief
Yeah.
physically if
Yeah.
they're wearing this like grief ring on their third finger or whatever. That was something that I really, really enjoyed. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I like
going back, I did wanna go to the second city. I wish we
mm.
had gone there.
Also with Joshua and that general, they always just gloss over that. They always say like, "Oh, she did a bad thing to like the general's army."
Mhm.
Like, what did she do?
Well, Kantik on one of her raids, like, apparently killed Josh's family,
Yeah, yeah.
and
And then after that, like, what did she do to the army?
she annihilated, like, half the army, I think. That was something that
Yeah, yeah. But I meant like how. It's
oh, she
the
used the
same goal.
magic. She used the, like, meat magic?
Meat magic.
Oh,
Meat
no.
magic.
Oh, no. She used the like the Shaolin, Urshalon magic
Mm,
to because in her like rage, and that's essentially why she dies in the end, right? Because
mm.
she's paying for that um
Dark magic.
use of magic because it was against everything. I did like that. I liked, that everything comes with a sacrifice because that is how, we're like familiar with a lot of magic systems. It's like if you take, you've got to give, right?
Yeah.
And so for her whole thing is, well, I'm about to annihilate this army, and so I'm just going to give my life for that.
Mm, yeah.
Um, I did like that part as well.
Which she
Uh,
didn't even get to do because she died.
she did sacrifice herself for her wife.
Yeah, which that's fine.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense. Um, yeah. I
Yeah.
kind of wish they had explained too why the jackal was named the jackal.
Yes. Yeah.
You
Is it
know,
because it rhymed with her actual name?
that's what I was thinking. I was like, it's just like a nickname, I guess.
Maybe.
Um, but yeah, it was just interesting to me too that there was a whole sect of people that um also worship like the jackals that was
Mhm.
mentioned, and so I was like, okay, is
They're the
she
desert people.
right? I'm like, is she like magical, and that's what Terrain's doing? Like she's coming into this like jackal
It's
magic.
like, yeah, is it hereditary? Like, who was her dad? Maybe the dad was one of the desert people.
No idea.
Mhm.
I couldn't tell you. I could not tell you.
Yeah. Any last minute thoughts we want to say?
I think it was tragic that she killed her uncle. I'll say it. Do you remember that? The
Oh,
camel
right.
man?
Forgot about that
That
in
was
the
one of
beginning.
the first things I wrote in my bullet journal. I was like, the camel man. camel man is important. I have it literally right here. The camel man.
The twists and turns was also really well done. I didn't see a lot of things coming other than the guy plotting all the hostages and stuff. That was predictable. But everything else, like the reveal of who the jackal is and like just little things everywhere, that was really well done. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because adding predictability on top of it is not good, but this one, no, it was done well.
Yeah. Those little things.
Mm.
I like the trope where like the uncle is the one to bring you in and like teach you things. So I really, was sad when her uncle was revealed and like he had been murdered by her. But I also think the bookseller kind of like filled that role for her.
Yeah, Saeed, I think.
Yeah, he like came in. He's like, "Hey, come eat with us, but I'm gonna blindfold you first." Like.
Also, the audiobook, the accents were weird because, obviously with the Shalon and stuff, like they have Middle Eastern accents, but then the Balladeers, they have French accents.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too. Well, they say Mademoiselle and like, Sean Bastion, and
the names are just very French as well.
Yeah, they're like French, and I think even Terrain is a French name. So I thought that was interesting that it wasn't just like English white, you know what I mean, and like Middle Eastern, or like whatever. But yeah, I guess now that I think about it, all of their names are French, like Luca, Ansier, Terrain, Thibault, Pruitt. Yeah. Gillett.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was pronounced Gilles something.
Gillet?
Yeah.
I was like, I've never spoke a day of French in my life, but here I am.
Well done. Yeah. It was this book was really hard. Like we wanted to love it. We were loving it at first. At least I was, and then everything just stayed the same. Characters shifted. It was just not what we wanted. It was, I think it's like our expectation built up from the beginning because I had no expectation going into this. I had expectations while reading it because of the things that were hinted at. And then nothing kind of happened, and then obviously I was disappointed.
Right.
But I do, after talking with you and also with Angela and stuff, I think I will try the second book just because of all these unanswered questions about the magic system. We might be able to get answers then, so I will continue the second book just to see if the magic system is explored in that.
Okay, when you read it, I'll ask you questions and then I'll decide how I want to read it.
I was like, I thought you were gonna like buddy read it with me. Let's go through it together.
Oh,
you're just throwing me under the bus.
I'm gonna give it some time. I think, if I'm still thinking about it later,
100%, that's fine.
Then maybe I'll revisit it. But this is why we read these books, to see what's going on.
Yeah.
So anyway, excuse me.
I think that is all we have to say. Also for everyone, since it's February, our next Shell Space book will be The City of Lies by Sam Hawke, and this time the host for it will be Jessie from Bookish Mom, and her co-host will be Katie from Brightness Katie Reads, who is an absolute adorable heart. Like she's just so cute. Go check them out as well. And the link for the Shell Space Discord is in my bio. This is not Instagram, my description. It's in my description. It's in my description. If you want to join the Discord, it is popping. Go and check it out. And thank you, Christine, for being here and doing this discussion for me and having the 8-hour sprints on my Patreon.
We had a fun time. I feel like we've done a lot in the past 24 hours.
Also, I don't know if you want to know, but the socks fit. my giant feet.
I'm like, LOL, are your feet even that big? Like, how big are they? Just tell the whole life.
Size 9, 10.
A 10?
Size 9, 10, yeah, based on
Oh,
the
I was
shoes.
like, my foot's a 9.5, so usually, like, I'm, like, the
Only
one
9
thing,
and a half,
like yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I was
Me
like,
too. We're foot twinsies.
yeah, like, not to give you guys foot content, but here we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, oh my god. We're so
Ooh,
Alrighty then. I think it's
it's a
time to
fun
call
time,
it
yeah.
it's time to call it a day.
Thank
Alright.
you for having me, guys. Oh.
It was a pleasure. And yeah, also if you don't know, Christine and Rachel, who was in the chat, they run a book club called Fantasy Series. So if you want to join that too, go for
We
it.
do, we
We'll
do.
try to join the Poppy War trilogy that they're doing
Yes.
starting from this month.
Yes, fantasy series. We read a fantasy series, like, all the way through, so we are starting with the Poppy War for February, so if you guys have ever wanted to read that book, we're gonna be reading it and then discussing it, and that's gonna be a good time because it's a good book, so I'm real excited.
Hey, if you like the Unbroken, you're gonna like Poppy War. So, Millie,
Actually, you're not wrong.
Millie, the dark one, hop on it.
There you go.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.